Alrighty, folks, we're 5-0 in our last 5 board member picks on my premium page. We're also 9-2 in our last 11 plays in that same package. We'll talk a little bit more about all that at the end of the video, but with that, let's go ahead and dive right into some free content. We're going to take a look at the Reds squaring off against the Pirates, 6:40 Eastern first pitch. Pittsburgh's minus $1.20 at home, totals 8.5. Bailey Falter for the Pirates, Andrew Abbott for Cincinnati. And the 10-win Abbott has 114 strikeouts and an ERA in the 3s. And these Cincinnati pitchers continue to roll on the road. They're allowing just 6.9 hits a game in their travels. That's actually a league best. And they're facing a Pittsburgh squad who lost 6 out of their last 10 themselves. And they do struggle at the plate. They're a bottom 5 run-producing team in the National League. Of course, on the mound, Bailey Falter comes into today's game with a losing record and an ERA in the 4s. Now, 6 out of the Bucs' last 10 outings did stay under the total. They're also 12-5 to the under in their divisional games at PNC Park. Meanwhile, Cincinnati's gone 11-6 to the under in their divisional road games. Give me the Reds plus $1, under 8.5. Next matchup, Rockies, Yankees, 7:05 Eastern first pitch. The Yankees are minus 275, totals 8 runs. Carlos Rodon for New York, Kyle Freeland for Colorado. And through 72-plus innings of work this year, the lefty Freeland, he's recorded only 3 wins, and he has an ERA just about in the 6s. But even if he ends up throwing well here today, the Rockies are one of the worst road-hitting teams in baseball. These guys average fewer hits a game away from home than any other franchise besides one. They're facing a 13-win Carlos Rodon, who's got 148 strikeouts on the year. But even if Rodon ends up struggling here today, the Yankees as a team, they continue to pour it on at the plate. They're a top 3 run-producing team in the American League. They're actually the top run-producing team in the American League. They score more runs than any other team in the AL. Aaron Judge, he leads the entire major leagues in homers, RBI, OPS. Of course, Juan Soto, he's got the club lead in walks. Also has an OPS in the thousands. Now, injury-wise, looks like Jazz Chisholm should be back in the lineup, or at least available here today. 3 out of the Bombers' last 4 at Yankee Stadium did get over the total. They're also 20-11 to the over against National League opponents. Give me the Yankees minus 1.5, over 8. Next game, Astros, Orioles, 7:05 East. Both teams are minus $1.10, pretty much a coin flip. Totals 8.5. Cade Povich for the O's, Hunter Brown for Houston. And unfortunately, folks, I have no free pick for you for this game. More of a high-profile game here. So if you want to see whether I'm making a play on the side or the total in this one, this game is being featured as the second leg of my crowd pleaser teaser on my premium site. So at least give you an idea of where you can find what I'm picking for that particular contest. All right, next matchup, Angels, Blue Jays, 7:07 Eastern start time. Toronto's the $2 favorite, totals 8.5. Chris Bassett for the Jays, Jack Kokonowitz for the Angels. And as bad as the Angels have been recently, they have done a nice job cashing in on the run line this year. The Angels currently have a winning record against the number in their travels. And they're facing a 9-12 Chris Bassett, who has an ERA in the 4s. Of course, at the plate, the Jays have struggled producing runs in Rogers Center. They're a bottom 10 run-scoring team at home. When it comes to the total, 3 out of the Angels' last 4 road games did fall under the total. They're also 7-3 to the under in their last 10 at any location. Give me the Angels plus 1.5, under 8.5 runs. Next game, D-backs, Red Sox, 7:10 Eastern start time. Boston's $1.30 at home, totals 9. Brian Bayo for Boston, Ryan Nelson for Arizona. And Nelson's 8-6 on the year with 101 strikeouts. Now, he's also backed by the highest run-producing lineup in the game. Jock Peterson has an OPS of 959. Jake McCarthy with an on-base percentage of 376. They're facing Brian Bayo, who's got a 1.41 whip, along with an ERA in the upper fours. And for some reason, the Bo Sox do play their worst baseball at Fenway. They have a losing record at home, and I'll tell you what, they strike out an awful lot at the dish. Boston is fanning more times a game at home than any other roster besides one. Of course, when it comes to the total, the Bo Sox saw their last 3 straight at Fenway get over the total. They're also 60% to the over in their last 10 at any location. Arizona, on the other side, they saw 8 out of their last 10 get over the total themselves. Give me Arizona plus $1.10, over 9. Next ball game, Cubs, Marlins, 7:10 Eastern start time. Chicago's minus $1.25, totals 8.5. Kyle Hendricks for Chicago, Max Meyer for Miami. And tell you what, Mayer's definitely had a rough go of things this year. He averages under a strikeout an inning, and he has a 5.58 ERA. But even if he has a stellar outing, he still might not get the W. The Marlins are dead last in run production in the National League. And as bad as Kyle Hendricks has been, well, Chicago got the W in 2 out of his last 3 starts. It was actually 6.3 runs a game they averaged during that short stretch. Nico Horner has the most hits in the clubhouse. Matt Bush with an on-base percentage of .345. Now, 4 out of the Marlins' last 5 games at Lone Depot Park got over the total. They're also 60% to the over in their last 10 at any location. Give me the Cubs minus $1.25, over 8.5. All right, next game, Rangers, Guardians, 7:10 Eastern start time. Cleveland's minus $1.35, totals 8 runs. Tanner Bybee for the Guardians, Nathan Eovaldi for Texas. And as good as Eovaldi's been, well, the Rangers lost their last 3 straight where he made the start. It was actually only 4 total runs they scored in those 3 games. And as a team, the Rangers took the loss in 6 out of their last 10, and they played their worst baseball on the road. They're winning only 39% of their contests away from Globe Life Field. And they're facing a Cleveland squad who's been tough to beat at Progressive Field. The Guardians have a .675 win percentage at home against American League opponents. And out of their last 10 meetings with the Rangers, the Guardians averaged 5.6 runs a game. So if you're into historical trends, you certainly want to think about that one there. Jose Ramirez has the 2nd most RBI in the majors, 7th most home runs. And Stephen Kwan, he hits .310, which is the 4th highest qualifying batting average in the bigs. And I'll tell you what, they probably won't need a whole lot of runs. The 10-5 Bybee has 144 strikeouts and a 1.09 whip. Of course, when it comes to the total, 7 out of the Guardians' last 10 ball games did fall under the line. Meanwhile, Texas is 7-3 to the under in their last 10 themselves. Give me Cleveland minus 135, under 8. Next game, Nationals Braves, 7:20 p.m. East. Atlanta's 275, total 7.5. Chris Sale for the Braves, Mackenzie Gore for Washington. And the lefty Gore's got 11 losses on the season and a 1.58 whip. Of course, these Nationals pitchers, they've been pretty brutal away from the capital. They're allowing more hits a game on the road than any other staff besides one. And they're facing a top 10 hit-producing lineup at home in Atlanta. Marcell Ozuna's in the top 5 in batting average, home runs, RBI, and OPS. And Jorge Soler, he's got an OPS of .969 with the Braves here. Of course, Atlanta may not need a whole lot of run support with Chris Sale on the mound. The lefty's 14-3 with an ERA in the 2s. He also has 187 strikeouts and a whip of 1 flat. Now, total-wise, the Braves' last 3 straight at Truist Park stayed under the line, while Atlanta's at 8-2 to the under in their last 10. Give me the Braves minus 1.5, under 7.5 in the tight window. All right, next matchup, little AL Central action. Tigers, White Sox, 8:10 Eastern start. Detroit's a $1.35 away from home, totals 9. Keter Montero for the Tigers, Chris Flexen for Chicago. And I don't know really what to say. Flexen's been pretty awful this season. He's just 2-12 with an ERA of 5.46. But even if he ends up throwing well, the White Sox are the lowest run-scoring team in the game. And they're facing a Detroit squad who's played pretty well over the past few weeks. They're 7-3 in their last 10. And they've done a nice job in their recent Keter Montero starts. Matter of fact, the Tigers got the W in their last 3 straight Montero starts. 6-3 straight up in his last 9. Now, 6 out of the Tigers' last 10 ball games did stay under the total. Meanwhile, Chicago went 60% to the under in their last 10. Give me Detroit minus 135, under 9 runs. Next game, Phillies, Royals, 8:10 Eastern start. KC's a $1.35 at Kauffman Stadium, totals 9. Michael Wacha for the Royals, Taijuan Walker for Philadelphia. And for the most part, both organizations have definitely had success getting base runners. Philadelphia is a top 5 hit producing team. Meanwhile, the Royals are in the top 3 in runs per game at home. Now, 4 out of Wacha's last 7 starts did get over the total. Meanwhile, KC's 60% to the over in their last 10 as a team. Now, the Phils on the other side, they've gone 67% to the over this year in all of their Taijuan Walker starts. Give me the over 9. Next game, little interleague play here. Cardinals, Twins, 8:10 East. Minnesota's a $1.40, totals 8.5. David Uncle Festa for the Twins. Andre Polani for St. Louis. And Polani has a losing record this year and an ERA in the 4s. Of course, as a team, the Cards have lost 7 out of their last 10. And they really haven't been overly crisp at the dish. St. Louis is a bottom 5 run-scoring team on the road. And they're facing a Minnesota club who definitely pounds the baseball at Target Field. They're averaging nearly double-digit hits a game at home. Now, they're also a top 5 run-producing team in their own building. Matt Warner, he's got an OPS of 962. Royce Lewis with an OPS in the 900s as well. When it comes to the total, the Twins held St. Louis to just 3.7 runs a game in their last 10 gatherings. Of course, speaking of the Cards, they went 60% to the under in their last 10 themselves. Give me the Twins minus 140, under 8.5. Next game, Brewers, A's, 9:40 p.m. East. Milwaukee's a $1.25, totals 8. Aaron Savali for the Brewers, J.P. Sears for Oakland. And even though Sears is definitely having a decent year, he has seen his ERA creep up into the 4s. Now at the plate, the A's just aren't good enough getting base runners. They're in the bottom 5 in hits per game. And they got to face a Brewers club who pounds it on the road. Milwaukee's a top 5 hit-producing team in their travels. Willie Adames has the 9th most RBI in the bigs. William Contreras with the most hits. Now, 7 out of the Brewers' last 10 ball games did fall under the total. Meanwhile, Oakland saw their last 6 straight at the Coliseum stay under the line. Give me Milwaukee minus $1.25, under 8. All right, next game, Mets, Padres, 9:40 Eastern, first pitch. San Diego's a $1.45, totals 8. Joe Musgrove for San Diego, Paul Blackburn for New York. And the Mets got the W in 6 out of their last 9. And they love hitting the ball away from Citi Field. New York averages more hits a game on the road than any other clubhouse besides one. Francisco Lindor has the most hits and RBI on the roster. Pete Alonso with the most home runs. And they're going to face a 3-4 Joe Musgrove with an ERA just about in the 5s. And out of the Pods' last 10 gatherings with the Mets, they've struggled with New York pitching. They were held to only 6.4 hits a game during that time frame, giving the Mets plus 1.5. All right, next contest, Giants, Mariners, 10:10 Eastern start. Seattle's a $1.55 at home, total 7.5. Luis Castillo for the M's, Hayden Birdsong for San Francisco. And even though Birdsong really hasn't been dominant, These Giants pitchers have thrown pretty well over the past week or so. They got the W in 4 out of their last 6, and they allowed only 2.3 runs a game during that time frame. Now, the Giants also strike out more batters a game on the road than any other staff besides one. And they're facing a Seattle lineup who actually strike out more times a game at the plate than any other organization in the league. And no real shock here, the M's do average a league worst 6.4 hits per 9 on their own diamond. And as good as Castillo's been on the hill, well, the M's lost 7 out of their last 11 games where he made the start. He's officially recorded a dozen losses on the season. Now, injury-wise, Victor Robles is questionable for the M's. When it comes to the total, the Giants saw their last couple of road games fall under the total. They're actually 7-3 to the under in their last 10 at any location. Give me the Giants plus 1.5, under 7.5 runs. And with that, folks, we're going to jump into our next and final breakdown for the video. It's going to be in that Rays-Dodgers game. That'll be a 10:10 Eastern first pitch. The Dodgers are the $2 favorite. Total's 8.5. Bobby Miller for the Dodgers. Tyler Alexander for Tampa Bay. And Alexander, he's definitely allowed his fair share of runs this year. The lefty currently has an ERA of 5.17. And I'll tell you what, the Rays have definitely, they've had problems producing runs. They're in the bottom 3 in runs scoring per game. And they're facing a Dodger club who's on a 4-game winning streak themselves. And I'll tell you, they've really pounded the baseball consistently for most of the season. LA's a top 5 run-producing team. Shohei Ohtani has the most homers in the National League, 4th highest OPS in the Bigs. And Mookie Betts, he's got an on-base percentage of .398. Now, 2 out of Los Angeles' last 3 at Dodger Stadium got over the total. They also went 60% to the over in their last 10 at any location. Give me the Dodgers minus 1.5, over 8.5. With that, folks, we're going to jump into our quick pick recap. Give me the Reds plus $1, under 8.5. Yankees minus 1.5, over 8 runs. I have no free pick available for you in the Astros-Orioles game. Angels plus 1.5, under 8.5. D-backs plus $1.10, over 9. Cubs minus $1.25, over 8.5. Guardians minus 135, under 8 runs. Braves minus 1.5, under 7.5. Tigers minus 135, under 9. I like the over 9 in the Phillies-Royals game. Twins minus 140, under 8.5. Brewers minus $1.25, under 8. Mets plus 1.5, getting the job done for some run line cash. San Francisco plus 1.5, under 7.5. Give me the Dodgers minus 1.5, over 8.5 runs. And with that, folks, I hope you enjoyed today's video for Friday, August 23rd, 2024. Happy Friday to you. Congratulations, you made it. It's Friday. The weekend's finally here. Hopefully you have a great weekend. Opening weekend in college football. Week 0. Got a handful of duds, but that Florida State, Georgia Tech game could be interesting. It's over there in Dublin, Ireland. But anyway, guys, I got to give a quick shout out to all you chairman members out there, especially if you made it to the end of the video here. But you guys cashed in on 5 more premium selections yesterday with the Nationals, Astros, Pirates over in that Mets game. And we also hit on a 2-team parlay. And if you're watching this and you're not a chairman member, the only way you could have accessed all those winners I just mentioned is to join my chairman package. Of course, it's also going to put us at 5-0 in our last 5 board member tier package picks. And the good news is I have another board member tier package play going off here today. And that package is included with your chairman membership. But most importantly, folks, got to thank you for joining me right here on the free video. Really hope you enjoyed all this great free content, all this great free information. And with that said, folks, happy Friday to you. Best of luck to you. And I definitely look forward to seeing you later on today on my premium site. And as always, that site is patreon.com/BrockPage.